Welcome to another deep dive, and today we're tackling the enigma that is Elon Musk. We're dissecting this recent interview where he really opens up, his journey, his struggles, what motivates
It's
him.
like a glimpse behind the curtain.
Exactly. I mean, you see him launching rockets, revolutionizing cars, and you just wonder what makes him tick.
Right.
And the surprising thing is he actually starts with his childhood. And, well, it's not the typical prodigy builds rocket in their backyard story,
Mhm.
more like feeling isolated because his brain was just constantly overflowing with ideas. He even thought he might be, insane because nobody else seemed to experience the world the way he did.
Oh, wow. That makes you think about, like, the burden of a truly inventive mind. Imagine being a kid feeling wired differently, constantly bombarded with new ideas.
Sure.
It's a gift, but it can be isolating, especially when you're young.
Yeah. And that drive to create, you really see it in how he approached starting Tesla and SpaceX. He was almost naively convinced he could just disrupt these massive industries. He even admits he thought it would be, pretty straightforward.
Well, you need a certain level of confidence, maybe a touch of arrogance even, to be a successful entrepreneur. That unwavering belief in your vision, even when everyone thinks you're crazy. But that doesn't mean it's easy, or that they don't face huge challenges along the way.
Oh, absolutely. And he's really blunt about the financial risks he took, like nearly going broke funding these companies. At one point, he even had to borrow money for rent.
Whoa, think about that for a second. You're trying to revolutionize space travel, sustainable energy, but you might not make rent next month. It takes so much grit to keep going with stakes that high.
Yeah, the sacrifices entrepreneurs make are immense.
Their financial security, their time, mental and physical well-being, everything.
And speaking of well-being, he talks about his work schedule, 100-hour ones, sleeping in factories, hardly any vacations. It's legendary, but definitely raises some red flags.
Yeah, it does make you question the whole glorification of overwork we have. Sure, dedication's important, but at what cost? Burning yourself out isn't sustainable. It can have serious consequences for your health, your relationships. It's a cautionary tale, even as we admire his drive.
He does seem to realize that his way isn't for everyone. He admits it's not recommended, even though he pushed himself to those extremes.
Right.
He even jokes about a friend trying to discourage him from starting SpaceX by showing him a compilation of rocket failures.
Oh, I love that story.
Yeah.
It really shows his sense of humor, but also the skepticism he faced. Here's this guy with this seemingly crazy idea, and people are actively trying to talk him out of it. They're showing him how often it goes wrong, but he doesn't back down. He pushes forward anyway.
It's that determination that's so fascinating. He just refuses to give up.
He said he'd have to be dead or completely incapacitated. I think a lot of us can relate to being afraid to take risks. But he shows us that sometimes the most incredible things come from pushing through that fear and going after what you believe in.
And for him, it's not just blind ambition, right? He talks about these grand goals, sustainable energy, space exploration, becoming multi-planetary. It's like he's not just building companies, he's trying to shape the future of humanity.
That's a really important point. It's not just about money or personal success. It's about having a vision for something bigger than yourself.
Exactly.
He genuinely believes these goals are essential for our survival in the long run. But he also wants us to be excited about the future, not just fixated on avoiding disaster. He sees these challenges as opportunities to innovate, to push the boundaries of what we can do.
Yeah. I think that's something we can all learn from, finding that balance between addressing real problems and still having a sense of optimism, of believing we can create a better future.
It's about having a purpose, a reason to get up in the morning that goes beyond just putting out one fire after another.
Right, a reason to keep pushing forward even when things get tough.
Exactly.
Because, let's face it, when you're aiming for something as ambitious as, colonizing Mars, you're going to encounter some setbacks along the way.
Oh, definitely. And that's where this idea of fear comes back into play. He's very open about experiencing fear, but he doesn't let it control him.
That's interesting because you don't often hear people at his level admit to feeling fear.
You're right, it's refreshing. We tend to think of successful people as being fearless, but that's just not realistic. Everyone feels fear. It's part of being human.
So how does he handle it then? Does he just ignore it and power through?
More like he acknowledges it, but acts despite it. He believes that if something is important enough, you push through the fear and do it anyway. And that's a key part of what sets him apart.
That takes a lot of courage, especially with the challenges he takes on.
Imagine the pressure of leading companies like Tesla and SpaceX with everyone watching your every move. It'd be so easy to let fear paralyze you.
Yeah, but he doesn't. He doesn't shy away from those tough decisions, even when they're risky.
It's that willingness to embrace the unknown, to push the boundaries of what's possible, that makes him such a fascinating figure. He's not afraid to fail, and in fact, he sees failure as a necessary part of the learning process.
And that's a powerful message, especially for anyone who's ever been afraid to take a risk or pursue their dreams.
It's a reminder that failure isn't the end, it's just a stepping stone on the path to success.
So he's not afraid of failure, but what about fear in general? Does he ever talk about specific fears he's had to overcome?
He doesn't really go into specifics in this interview, but you can imagine, right? The fear of failure, the fear of letting people down, the fear of not living up to his own expectations.
Especially with the weight of, trying to save humanity on his shoulders.
Exactly. He's also spoken about concerns for the future of our species, which probably drives his push for solutions through his companies. It's not just building businesses, it's trying to safeguard humanity.
Yeah, and that sense of purpose must be incredibly motivating. It's not just about making money or getting famous, it's about something much bigger.
You're right. He's using his skills and resources to tackle huge challenges facing our species. That level of ambition is rare and takes a certain fearlessness to pursue it.
But it's not just about being fearless, right? It's about turning that fear into action, using it as fuel to move forward and achieve great things.
That's a great way to put it. Fear can paralyze you, or it can be a catalyst for growth. It all depends on how you choose to respond to it.
And he seems to have this incredible knack for turning fear into action, taking those risks others might avoid.
He's not afraid to go against conventional wisdom, to challenge the status quo. He invests heavily in ideas that others might think are crazy.
Like reusable rockets. I mean, who would have thought that was possible? And yet, here we are, watching SpaceX land rockets back on Earth like it's nothing.
Mind-blowing, right. Think about the technological advancements that had to happen for that to become reality. He's pushing the boundaries of what we thought we could do with a sense of urgency that's infectious.
It's not just tinkering in a garage, it's building the future and inspiring others to do the same. But it's not just about taking risks for the sake of it, is it? He seems to have a clear vision of the future he wants to create.
You're right. Successful innovators don't just have random ideas. There's a guiding purpose that drives their decisions.
And in his case, that seems to revolve around these three big ideas: sustainable energy, space exploration, making humanity multiplanetary.
Think about the scale of those ambitions. It's not just building a better car or launching a few rockets. It's trying to solve some of the most fundamental challenges facing our species.
Yeah, it's huge.
And he does it with this incredible optimism. He's not just focused on the problems, but on the solutions. He sees the potential for humanity to achieve incredible things, and he's determined to make it happen.
That optimism is contagious. It inspires people to believe a better future is possible, and that we can all play a part in creating it.
Especially in a world that can feel so negative and overwhelming, it's easy to get caught up in the problems. But he shows us we have the power to choose to focus on the solutions.
And he's not just talking about it, he's living it, putting his money where his mouth is and taking action.
That's what makes him so compelling.
He's not perfect, and he's made his fair share of mistakes, but you can't deny his passion, his drive, his commitment to making a difference.
And that's what we can all learn from him. It's not about being Elon Musk. It's about finding your own purpose, your own passion,
Right.
and pursuing it with that same determination.
He's challenged us to think bigger, to imagine a future where humanity can overcome its limitations and do extraordinary things.
And I think that's what makes this deep dive so thought-provoking. It's not just about understanding Elon Musk. It's about understanding ourselves, our own potential, and the role we want to play in shaping the future.
So as we move into the final part of our deep dive, let's shift gears a bit and talk about what Musk considers true success. Is it all about those rockets and electric cars?
It's interesting because it's not just about the material achievements for him. He actually says straight out, that it's about making a real contribution to humanity, leaving the world a better place than he found it. That's what he considers true success.
That's a powerful statement. It really resonates with people, especially I think with younger generations. It's not just about a paycheck anymore. It's about purpose.
Exactly. They want to feel like their work has meaning.
Right. And it is inspiring to see someone like Musk who's achieved so much material success, but is still pushing to make a difference beyond that. But then there's this tension, right? He talks about working insane hours, pushing himself to the limit. But he also admits that it takes a toll.
He kind of has this way of saying, like, this is what worked for me, but you don't have to follow my exact path.
Right.
He knows it's not sustainable for everyone, the physical and emotional strain. But it's almost like he sees it as the price you pay for achieving those really big goals.
And he's pretty upfront about it, even saying his lifestyle is not recommended, which I think can be confusing for a lot of people, especially young entrepreneurs who idolize him.
Yeah, it definitely raises questions about work-life balance and whether that kind of all-consuming dedication is really necessary for success.
It seems like he might be starting to question it himself a bit. He mentioned that he needs to build a stronger management team so he can actually take a vacation.
That's a big step. It shows he's recognizing the importance of delegating and setting boundaries. Even someone as driven as Elon Musk needs time to recharge.
So, what do you think is the takeaway here? Is there a way to find that balance between burning yourself out and not pushing yourself hard enough?
It's a tough question, and I don't think there's one easy answer. But I think it starts with understanding yourself, your own limits and priorities. It's not about copying Elon Musk's approach exactly, but taking inspiration from his drive and ambition and figuring out how to apply those principles in a way that works for you.
That makes sense. It's about finding your own definition of success and what you're willing to sacrifice to achieve it.
And recognizing that everyone's path is different.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive into the mind of Elon Musk. We've learned so much about his journey, his struggles, his triumphs, and what drives him to achieve these seemingly impossible things.
He's definitely a polarizing figure, but there's no denying his impact on the world.
He's shown us what's possible when you combine big ideas with relentless determination.
And he's challenged us to think differently about the future, to imagine what humanity can accomplish when we set our minds to it.
So, as we wrap up, we want to leave you with this question. If you could dedicate your life to solving one global problem, what would it be? What kind of future do you want to create? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.